Here is the plot of the second season Maxton Hall 2 inches. When the future slips through your fingers, love is your lifeline. Ruby is devastated. After everything they shared, James dared to betray her and disappointed her, so much so that she never wants to see him again. However, despite the pain he has caused her, Ruby comforts James for the loss of his mother. On one point, however, she is adamant, she is not willing to forgive him and give him a second chance. James thus finds himself at the mercy of his father, who demands that he prepare to take the reins of Beaufort, the family business, ahead of time. The dark future so feared by James therefore arrives early, and his condemnation is made definitive by the acceptance letter to Oxford. For Ruby, however, the same letter represents the crowning of a lifetime's efforts. Nonetheless, the joy of the moment is marred by the absence of James. While on the one hand, she wishes she had never met him and would go back to being invisible to her classmates at Maxton Hall, on the other hand, she can't forget him. Especially because he is doing everything he can to win her back. While love and hate compete for Ruby's heart, James shows off all his charm in a desperate attempt to regain the girl's trust. But even if he succeeded, would Ruby be accepted by the terrible Mr. Beaufort? Here is the detailed review also of what will happen in the second season. The first chapter of the series was supposed to introduce us to the various characters that are part of the cast of the book, until then fixing the focus on Ruby and James, and I was moderately enthusiastic. The final cliffhanger had captured me, so I had a definitely positive approach to the book. Savvy starts from where the first part left off. That is, with the drama. I was very curious to find out how things would go. Ruby is tough. I was sure that she would not give in easily. So I continued reading very excited. Unfortunately, the first part of the story was exhausting. It would not pass, nothing would happen. Ruby is devastated. She has never felt such deep feelings for anyone as for James. And she has never been so hurt. She relives her old life, when she did not know anyone at Maxton Hall College and was not part of this elitist and corrupt world. But she can't forget James. Especially when he starts doing everything he can to win her back. In this first part, Ruby doesn't seem to know what she wants or what she should do, and even if it's partly understandable, it's also unnerving. It can be okay for a few pages, but in the long run it becomes tiring. She changes her mind quite often and tries to ignore her feelings, which obviously doesn't work. Mona Kasten's writing style is as always very fluid. And I have to admit that there is one thing I loved in this volume, and that is that it is not written only from Ruby and James' perspective, but Amber and Lydia's POV were also introduced. I found it really very intriguing and a way to get to know them in a more in-depth way. However, the first part was difficult for me. It is too repetitive, it has an extremely relaxed pace, perhaps too much for my taste. Ruby locks herself in the house with a broken heart, and James tries to ease the sadness through parties. In reality, this second volume is about how the two reunite. There is a lot of take and leave, even if you know that in the end they will be together again. It's all repetitive, and boredom is lurking there. There are no major developments in the story. The two protagonists simply try to identify and somehow resolve the mess they made in the first volume. There is no character development, nor major revelations. James is slowly recovering. Let's say that to develop everything perhaps 100 pages would have been enough. What I found very nice, however, was the fact that Lydia, Ruby, Amber and Lynn got closer again, partially solving their problems. I always appreciate episodes of female solidarity and friendships in books. As we mentioned, in this volume we also find the point of view of Amber and Lydia, the sisters of the protagonists. I would have liked their chapters to really revolve around the two of them. In reality here, while telling us what happens to them, they continue to tell the story of James and Ruby from a different perspective. Perhaps the author tried in this way to make the events less repetitive, even if the trick was not very successful, and even if the idea is pleasant, perhaps with small adjustments it could have been more effective. Lydia's story is very interesting in itself. She has a relationship with a teacher and is expecting a child from him, so why not exploit it? It has great potential and, given the temporary stalemate in the story between James and Ruby, I would have taken advantage of it, bringing out new developments to animate this part. It would have been easy to write more about her, without abandoning the primary story. After all, we are talking mostly about a choral story, where you can easily find co-protagonists. A bit in the style of the TV series that we like so much. Kasten also piques her curiosity about Amber who, while attending a Maxton Hall event, meets a boy. But even in this case she stops almost immediately without giving us any information about their relationship. In principle, all of this will develop in the third volume, making the reader increasingly curious. What I wonder is, wouldn't it have been better to also articulate this second volume a bit more, avoiding leaving everything for the third? Which at this point I expect to have a dizzying pace given the situations that need to be dealt with and resolved. Unfortunately, I found the book a bit weak, although it improves on the ending, which of course leaves us with yet another cliffhanger. We just have to wait and see if Kasten will be able to convince us. I sincerely hope so. For now this remains the classic second volume, a bit stretched, without which perhaps the series would have worked anyway.
Here we are. Of course we saw a short preview. You can see them whole in the YouTube channel of the voice actress and creator Giulia Segreti. She is a voice actress and actress. With her voice it brings strong emotions. She is Italian. In her videos you can also activate all the subtitles. Just go to the YouTube video options and then choose the language. We talked to Giulia. She uses her own voice in an innovative and particular way.
È vero, non hai avuto un buon esempio, ma hai imparato a mie spese che dagli errori si impara e si diventa persone migliori.
And she is popular on the web. She opens her self-titled YouTube channel and starts uploading audio readings of modern books in collaboration with male voice Baron Markeel. She also does commissioned audio readings from many female writers. Giulia and Barone are also a couple in real life. They met on the web.
Senza di lui la maggior parte del lavoro non era possibile. Beh, ci siamo conosciuti attraverso la grande passione per il doppiaggio e per le letture.
Giulia was looking for a male voice for her projects and then she learned that she was a neighbor. You have dubbed some important films and participated in various famous Italian TV programs. Giulia is also a Spotify artist. She realizes with her voice covers of her recited. She's a writer. She has acted in the theater in various shows and fairs. For some years she was also the speaker on the radio and currently she is the voice of important radio commercials. Her voice is also on Audible. In fact, she also makes audiobooks. In short, she does many things in one day. She likes to tease with her voice and has managed to work with her voice. She loves animals, she loves being with her boyfriend. It's hard to sum up her life. I suggest you visit her YouTube channel. There you can hear and see her work. While her private life and her other passions can be seen on Instagram.
Io, insieme a voi, ho una lunga strada da percorrere. E mentre percorriamo insieme questa strada, altre persone si uniranno.